is announced as a work of detective fiction by Agatha Christie, first published in the UK by the Collins Crime Club in June 1950 and in the US by Dodd, Mead and Company in the same month. The UK edition sold for 8 shillings and sixpence 8/6, and the US edition at $2.50. The novel features her detective Jane Marple. The murder is announced in advance a local newspaper in a small village. Miss Marple is staying at a spa hotel there for treatment. She works with Inspector Craddock of the county police. Summary. A notice appears in the local newspaper for Chipping Cleghorn. A murder is announced and will take place on Friday the 29th of October, at Little Paddocks, at 6:30 p.m. Friends accept this, the only intimation. This surprises Letitia Blacklock, owner of Little Paddocks. She prepares for guests that evening. Some villagers appear at the house, showing definite interest. As the clock strikes 6:30, the lights go out, and a door swings open, revealing a man with a blinding torch who demands the guests stick him up. The game ends when shots are fired into the room. When the lights turn on, Miss Blacklock is bleeding, and the masked man is dead on the ground. Miss Blacklock's companion, Dora, Bunner, recognizes the man as Rudy Schurz, a Swiss man who worked for a local hotel and had recently asked Letitia for money. The crime scene plus interviews with all who witnessed it lead police to drop the case, but Inspector Craddock is not satisfied. He learns that Schurz had a criminal background of petty theft and forgery. Then Craddock meets Miss Jane Marple at lunch with his boss and Sir Henry Clithering, at the hotel where Schurz worked. Craddock brings Miss Marple in to help with the case after her suggestions prove correct. Schurz's girlfriend Myrna Harris tells Craddock that Schurz had been paid to appear as the hold-up man, a fall guy, as Miss Marple had said. He had not said who paid him. The police feel the real target is Letitia Blacklock, and that Schurz was killed by his unknown employer to prevent him talking. Inspector Craddock discovers oil on the hinges of a door into the parlor, thought to be unused. Bunny mentions a table had been placed against the door until recently, further supporting the theory that someone slipped out behind Schurz and shot at Letitia. The motive for an attack on Miss Blacklock is straightforward, as she will soon inherit great wealth. She worked for the financier Randall Goodler. Randall Goodler's estate passed to his wife Belle, who is near death. When Belle dies, Miss Blacklock will inherit. If she predeceases Belle, the estate goes to Pip and Emma, twin children of Randall's estranged sister, Sonia. Sonia broke with her brother 20 years ago upon her marriage to Dimitri Stamfordis. Craddock travels to Scotland to meet Belle. He learns that neither Belle nor Letitia knows where Sonia, Dimitri, Emma, or Pip are now. No one knows what the grown twins look like. Belle tells about Letitia's sister Charlotte with a goiter. Their father, a doctor, did not believe in goiter surgery. Charlotte became a recluse as her goiter worsened. Dr. Blacklock died shortly before the Second World War, and Letitia gave up her job with Goodler to take her sister to Switzerland for surgery. The two sisters waited out the war in Switzerland. Charlotte died suddenly of consumption. Letitia returned to England alone. Miss Marple takes tea with Bunny. Bunny suspects Patrick Simmons, his sister Julia, and the young widow named Philippa Hames are all staying at little Paddocks as guests. Bunny mentions that a shepherd lamp and shepherdess lamp in the house have been swapped. Their tete-a-tete is interrupted when Letitia arrives. Letitia holds a birthday party for Bunny, inviting almost everyone who was at the house when Schurz was killed. Mitzi, the cook, makes her special cake, nicknamed Delicious Death. After the party, Bunny has a headache. She takes some aspirin from a bottle in Letitia's room. The next morning, Bunny is found dead, poisoned. Craddock finds that the photos of Sonia Godeler have been removed from old albums. Craddock finds old letters by Letitia to Charlotte in the attic at Little Paddocks. Miss Marple compares one to a current letter. When the vicar's cat shorts out a lamp at the vicarage, the final clue falls into place for Miss Marple. Miss Blacklock receives a letter from the real Julia Simmons, and she confronts her house guest, who reveals herself to be Emma Stamfordis. She denies attempting to kill Miss Blacklock, and says she has not seen her twin Pips since they were toddlers, their parents separated, each taking a child. Mrs. Hinchcliffe and Murgatroyd, present at the Schurz shooting, work out that Miss Murgatroyd stood behind the open door and was not blinded by the torch. She could see who was in the room. They realize that the person who left the room when the lights went out came around behind Schurz, and shot him and Miss Blacklock. Just as Miss Murgatroyd realizes who was the one person not in the room, the phone rings, summoning Miss Hinchcliffe away. As Hinchcliffe drives away, Murgatroyd runs out, shouting, "She wasn't there." On the way back home, Miss Hinchcliffe offers Miss Marple a ride, and together they discover Murgatroyd's body, strangled. Hinchcliffe tells Miss Marple of their discussion. Inspector Craddock gathers everyone at Little Paddocks, where Mitzi claims to have seen Miss Blacklock shoot Schurz. Craddock dismisses her claim and accuses Edmund Swedenham of being Pip. However, Philippa Hames admits that she is Pip. Craddock then accuses Edmund of wanting to marry a rich wife by murdering Miss Blacklock so Philippa will be wealthy. As Edmund denies this, a scream is heard from the kitchen, where they find Miss Blacklock attempting to drown Mitzi in the sink. When Miss Blacklock hears Dora Bunner's voice telling her to stop, she releases Mitzi, breaks down, and is arrested by Sergeant Fletcher. Miss Marple explains that Letitia died of pneumonia in Switzerland. Aware that Letitia was in line to inherit a fortune, Charlotte posed as her deceased sister and returned to England a year earlier, in a village where few people knew her. She avoided people who knew Letitia well, like Belle Godeler, and covered her throat with strings of pearls to hide the scars from her surgery. Rudy Schurz had innocently recognized her, having worked at the Swiss hospital where she had her surgery. Charlotte killed him to prevent him talking to anyone. She hired Schurz and had him put in the advertisement to gain witnesses. She oiled the door and frayed a lamp cord, which she later shorted by pouring water on it when everyone was distracted by the clock chiming, so the room would be suddenly dark. She had then come behind Schurz and shot him, cutting her honor with nail scissors before returning. That night, she replaced the frayed lamp with a new one, shepherd versus shepherdess, as Bunny said. Bunny knew both sisters from childhood. Charlotte had taken Bunny into her confidence about the inheritance but not about the murder of Schurz. Bunny sometimes called her Lottie, Charlotte, instead of Letty, Charlotte feared that Bunny might thereby reveal the truth, so Charlotte had poisoned some aspirin tablets taken by Bunny. Amy Murgatroyd had realized that Miss Blacklock was the one person whose face was not illuminated by Rudy Scherz's torch. Charlotte had overheard Hinchcliffe and Murgatroyd's conversation, and killed Murgatroyd as soon as Hinchcliffe left. Miss Marple persuaded Mitzi and Edmund to play parts in tripping up Charlotte Blacklock. Philippa's admission to being Pip was not expected. Inspector Craddock kept up the act to claim Edmund was after Philippa's money. Mitzi had agreed to serve as the bait, and Miss Marple imitated Bunny's voice to cause Charlotte to break down and confess. Ultimately, Mitzi takes up a new post near Southampton. Philippa and Emma inherit the Goodler fortune. Edmund and Philippa marry and return to live in Chipping Cleghorn. Characters: Miss Jane Marple, an elderly spinster and amateur detective. Inspector Dermot Craddock, lead detective on the case. Sir Henry Clithering, retired head of Scotland Yard, consults with Chief Constable. He recommends his old friend Miss Marple to aid the police. He is godfather to Craddock. Chief Constable George Rydesdale, chief of the county investigation, Craddock's superior. Letitia Blacklock, lady of the house called Little Paddocks, in her 60s. Charlotte Blacklock, much-loved sister of Letitia. Belle Goodler tells Inspector Craddock that Charlotte died in Switzerland. Dora Bunner, Letitia's fluttery childhood friend, usually known by her nickname, Bunny. Patrick Simmons, Miss Blacklock's young cousin. He calls her Aunt, due to the difference in ages. Julia Simmons, sister of Patrick. Mitzi, Miss Blacklock's foreign housekeeper and cook, a young refugee from Europe. Philippa Hames, a young widow with a young son, Harry, at boarding school. She is a paying guest at Little Paddocks and works nearby as a gardener. Colonel Archie Easterbrook, blustery old colonel just returned from India. Laura Easterbrook, his considerably younger, glamorous wife. Pip and Emma Stamfordus, twin children of Sonia and Dimitri, alternate heirs of their Uncle Randall. Pip was recognized by Miss Blacklock early on, as Pip looks like her mother. Miss Blacklock does not directly state this. Others learn this only at the end. Emma is known to Patrick Simmons. Mrs. Swedenham, widow who dotes on her grown son, Edmund. Edmund Swedenham, cynical young writer who is in love. Miss Hinchcliffe, physically fit woman who farms on a small scale. Miss Murgatroyd, Miss Hinchcliffe's sweet-dispositioned, giggly companion. Belle Goodler, dying widow of Letitia's former wealthy employer Randall Goodler. Julian Harmon, the vicar of Chipping Cleghorn. Diana Bunch Harmon, the vicar's wife. She is the daughter of good friends of Miss Marple, whom she calls Aunt Jane. Tiglath-Pileser, the vicarage cat 13. Rudy Schurz, a young man of Swiss extraction, the receptionist at a local spa hotel, and small-time thief. Myrna Harris, girlfriend of Schurz, waitress at local spa hotel. Captain Ronald Hames, estranged husband of Philippa, said to have died fighting in Italy. Detective Sergeant Fletcher, assisting Craddock. Constable Legg.